Morning, guys. Hope you're feeling great. Today is the first video that I'm making in my new place. We got moved in this weekend. It was a hell of a weekend. I think I got 40,000 steps in, just over, a little bit over that, including Friday. Well, actually, probably like 45,000 including Friday. Anyways, I had a lot of fun. My buddy helped me out. We got it done over the weekend, got it all knocked out. Now we're just been situating and having fun with that. It's Tuesday here, so getting settled in with the week, making my calls, doing my thing, settling into a completely new environment. It's been fun. That's the cool thing about mobile work is obviously you can do it from wherever you please, wherever you can get a good Wi-Fi connection and have some clear headphones for sales at least. Excuse me. So that's been really fun. It's been an enjoyable process to say the least as far as seeing this whole situation play out. This house that we're living in, full transparency, I mean, it's a dream come true. For several years now, my wife and I have wanted a house that is, very much in nature, right? Plenty of nature, plenty of yard, plenty of privacy, but also more so in the middle of town. You see, beforehand we were living with my mom, and she had a cool little house out in a rural area, tons of land, but about 15 minutes away from the grocery store, 10, 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes from the one we normally went to. And we love it out there, but at the end of the day, obviously we need our own place. We're a growing family, and we'd like to be more so in the middle of town. And we've known that for years. I mean, we almost bought a house when I was 19 that was kind of like that, but it was way out. It was close to a grocery store, but it was way away from where we wanted to live, and so on and so forth. So we actually just started talking about this house just 2 weeks ago, not even. I said something to one of my mentors about it, and knowing that it was a part of a property, and events transpired, and here we are. We moved all of our stuff in this weekend, 20-foot moving truck, and now we're just ready to continue making changes and continue being the individual, at least for me personally. Something I've been learning about so much so throughout this whole process, like I always tell you guys, I feel like I told 600 people yesterday, is just continue to show up. Continue to be that individual that is in the different reality that you are working towards. You see, the field reflects back to us what we are energetically and emotionally embodying. An idea that came to mind yesterday, I was in a deep meditation. These thoughts were floating to me, and I realized something. So the subconscious mind, as I told you guys many times before, you might have known before this as well, the subconscious mind is our feeling mind. It is where we feel from. It is the multitude, the 90% of our daily thoughts, right, that make up our emotions. Meaning all the events we've been through in our life, all the hecticness, all the trauma, the challenges, the character building moments, they're all stored here in our subconscious mind. Then we pull from it as we go throughout our day, and we act from it throughout our day because of how we feel, right? And some 5 to 10% of our thoughts on a day-to-day basis are from our conscious mind, things that we are consciously choosing to do, whether or not, or one way or another. But when something is your natural way of being, that is the subconscious mind, and you're acting from it, right? This might look like a certain way that you pour your cereal, a certain way that you grab spoons out of the cabinet. This might show up as a certain way that you act around your family. It might be, it's the ways that we feel are just normal and what we're used to doing. And so what happens is we don't realize why we're doing things the way that we are. For me personally, this showed up a lot of my communication, still does in certain ways. I was very much self-doubtful, self-judgmental, self-conscious in my earlier years. Well, pretty much most of my early life. And I didn't realize why. Like, I thought it was just who I had to be. I didn't have any choice to be like that. That was just my life. That's just how I was. But once I got into subconscious mind and shadow work and understanding these lower sides of ourselves, understanding our trauma, understanding there's parts of ourselves that are hard to understand. Once I got into that, the work that is that, everything changed for me in a lot of ways. I began to see things with more clarity, more of a bird's eye view, if you will. I started to realize like it allowed me to take myself out of the subconscious and conscious mind conundrum, which is most of the thoughts being subconscious and it being hard to get around those feelings, right? I believe that once we learn about this work and we begin to do it and understand it and be a part of it and analyze it for ourselves, we then detach ourselves from both, and now we are the observer. Quantum physics talks about the observer effect. Anything that is observed, that when something is observed, that is when the wave particle collapses, something like that. Basically, everything is energy, right? So as the observer, we are observing everything into reality, right? Things that are subconscious, we don't realize we're observing them, but our mind, the observer knows these things. Part of us knows that these things are real, and because we believe them, right? Feeling is the secret, Neville Goddard talks about, because our feelings are attached to these very ideas and concepts and traumas and challenges and character traits. They're attached to these things. Our feelings are, and so we feel so tightly drawn to them, and they're held inside of us. I believe this is what the Bible talks about when it talks about our fleshly desires, our fleshly kind of holds, or what I call devil ties, things that hold us to the world, right? Though that's just me, that's just the way I do things. Well, do you really want it to have to be that way? Do you really want it to have to be that way? People are like, yo, that's just me, and it'll be about the way they do something that is completely inefficient, and they know that. But they feel they can't change it. And why do they feel they can't change it? Well, because they've tried 6 times and it's never changed, and da-da-da-da. Right? And we've all experienced failure before. We've all experienced falling back whenever you try to make a difference. But I promise you guys right now, when you give yourself the label, when you give yourself a generalization, such as that's just me, or that's just the way that I do things, or I'm just I'm just an alcoholic, I'm just a drug addict, I'm just a narcissist, I'm just a womanizer, whatever it is. Whenever you give yourself that label, you take the human aspect out of it. You take the observer out of it, and you just say this is a solid, it's a concrete thing. It's a concrete form and concept within the universe. No, everything is transient. Everything is constantly changing. As a spirit, as an observer, we have to choose the things that we stand on, right? Such as integrity and standards as a whole. But we have to stand on those knowing that everything will change around us, and we have to understand our own version of these standards as time goes on, right? So back to what I was saying with the subconscious mind. When I got into this work, I started to realize that I didn't have any standards. That I was just stuck in the subconscious mind for most of my actions. I asked myself, it started with me asking, why is my communication that way? Why do I get anxious? Why do I get very aggravated whenever I get embarrassed or feel some type of way about one thing or another? What is that? Why do I feel these ways? And as I got deeper and deeper into it, and I studied the greats who have taught about these things, I started to understand more so what was going on. I started to understand that it was just what I've been through, my memory of what I've been through, and the beliefs held there. I started to realize that it was me who was creating my own backlash and hardships because of my own beliefs. I started to understand that I could use my conscious mind to will myself to different identities, slowly but surely. And after you get those things, once you do enough of that work, and you start to understand who it is you really want to be, and you start to believe that you are that person, you start flooding it back into your subconscious mind with feeling states consistently, it then starts to work for you. Your identities start to work for you just like they were working against you beforehand. Let me explain that a little bit deeper here. When I say that your identities might be working against you, again, like we were talking about earlier, I'm just an alcoholic. Someone might just be an alcoholic, but also be a family man. Those two things don't really go together, if you ask me. I've seen it in my own experience. I've experienced it myself, and they very much pull each other apart. Now, can parents drink alcohol? Obviously, I'm not saying like it's something you have to cut out altogether. Everybody's different. What I am saying is that if you are like an avid drinker, like you're a massive alcoholic, you're not going to be the best parent. Like you're just not. Like you're not going to be the best anything, because alcohol is technically a poison, and if you become highly addicted to it, it's going to disarrange many things in your life. Again, I've experienced it myself. So these identities work against one another, right? They work, and again, alcohol is kind of like that with everything. If you're an alcoholic, it's probably going to like mess up anything else in your life that you are prioritizing as an identity. But let's say you slowly stop drinking, you're moving away from it, and you're building up this fatherly identity that you know you're meant to be. You know that you're meant to act as and be for your children. And then you pick up a habit like reading or working out or going out and talking to more people or whatever it is. Something good, something that actually fills the other one up. It actually helps you with that identity. There's probably a name for it I can come up with, but it's an identity that makes sense to work together, right? This is how you start to get it to roll for you and roll with you, roll in the right direction, allowing you to become more positive, allowing you to have a different impact on your life and the lives around you. But if you don't ever start to look at the work, if you don't ever start to do the work of understanding your subconscious and what you know, what you believe so strongly to be true about your life, and asking yourself why and whether or not you really want that to be true, you won't ever get to the point where you are allowing your identities to work together for you in the right direction on the path upward. It's very unlikely, because society wants to keep you down here. You see, when you are so confused on your identities, you are most likely to spend money to make yourself feel okay. Most people aren't only retail therapists, they are stimulation therapists or therapy mentees, whatever you want to say. Meaning, most people aren't just addicted to like retail shopping, it's also just stimulation as a whole. We stimulate ourselves with entertainment. We stimulate ourselves with anything you can get your hands on, just to take ourselves away from the identity crisis that is going on inside. So brother, if there's anything you get from this video, please understand that your subconscious mind, it's all formed around your life and environments and everything for you to transcend. It was formed throughout your life so you could look at it with clairvoyance and realize the beauty that's hiding there. So you can then express it to the world. But if you allow it to run your life and you don't ever look at it, it will disarrange everything. You'll never have the exact life that you want. Carl Jung says, until you learn to make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. So look at the ugly parts about yourself, the things that you think are ugly, and question them. Why? Not why in a doubtful, hurtful, judgmental way, but just why? What caused that? And as you go into it and look at those things that are harder to look at, you look at the trauma, you look at the challenges, you look at the things earlier on in your life that you've never looked at before, you'll start to realize a lot of things about yourself that then allow you to turn all of that into something good for others. You see, because it's not about what you go through, it's about what you can help others get through. So my friends, take that with you today. Have an amazing day. I love you guys. Let's go.